Peace. What's going on? Patrick, Conservative Rap. And in this video, let's cover what's going on currently in the socio-political front. We need to win the midterms. And Trump and the Patriots, they're using the judiciary in progressive crescendo-like fashion to lead up to that. As we're positioning the National Guard to counter the riots and their executive orders on the National Guard to help remove the illegals, what you're seeing is a checkmate strategy at each step of the war between the deep state and the patriot agenda to take back America. Let's take a look at some quick examples. I'm going to go over to X and we'll see what's currently going on. So check this out. Bring back public hanging, says Juanita Broderick. And we're going to cover duo and battery on a young
Palm
girl.
Beach County grand jury has indicted 27-year-old Josue Mendez Salas and 23-year-old Pablo Cabon Mendez on multiple counts of sexual battery on a child under the age of 12. Both men, originally from Guatemala and living in West Palm Beach, were recently arrested after the 7-year-old victim bravely came forward. Investigators say the abuse was not only frequent, but brutal. The child was reportedly sexually abused almost every day and beaten with a belt. Palm Beach County.
This is ridiculous. So you tell me, how can we propose an open border illegal immigration policy and not have crime and not have criminals, gang members, and these sorts of animals perpetrating crimes on the American populace? An open border policy is a war on civility in the country it's proposed in, which is us here in America. Now, check this out. This is quasi-geopolitical. Beginning September 1st, Nayib Bukele's El Salvador will enforce a new code of respect and order on students toward teachers and staff in all schools, using phrases like good morning, please, and thank you. Civic Mondays are also starting promoting love for the homeland, national values, and civic responsibility. This is how you do it, to quote Montel. Every American school should do the same. Damn Skippy. I'm going to quote this quickly. And of course, if you want to maintain the health of a nation, you have to inculcate the youth with respect for the nation. The Pledge of Allegiance, order, respect for the elders. These are principles that I grew up on, and I don't see why today's generation should be any different. It's ridiculous that we have to learn this sort of thing from El Salvador. And props to Bukele for getting it popping. Now, this is the tip of the iceberg, says James Wood on X, quoting, what has Gavin Newsom signed into law? Let's take a quick look. SB 276 removed all functional exemptions, went after doctors and gave public health power to add vaccines to the schedule without legislation. SB 132 allows men to be transferred into women's prisons if they self-identify as a woman with zero guardrails. SB 145 creates a loophole for sex offenders not having to register. I almost can't finish this stuff. AB 665 emancipates 12-year-olds and allows them to run away from home and check into a residential shelter under the state with no parental notification. SB 107 sanctifies child mutilation and sterilization, allowing for children from any state to come here and get gender-affirming treatment and will not honor custody agreements. Sickening. AB 1078 removes the power of the local school board regarding books, curriculum, and policies and gives the power to the state. If parents find inappropriate sexual material in school indoctrinating their offspring, they can't petition the board to remove the books without state approval. And AB 2098 silences doctors and slaps them with misinformation and goes after their license should they discuss alternative treatment for COVID. Gavin Newsom supports and encourages schools to carry pornographic material and supports legislators who call parents white Christian nationalists when they object to said material. This is who's in our government. How they became politicians, how they've gained power, I don't know. Some people theorize that election fraud just isn't at the national level with Trump and what's coming out about 2020, but at these more local levels as well. And I agree with them because this is absurd and disturbing. Next, let's keep it moving. Again, drop 14. What happens if Soros-funded operations, which is also coming out, get violent and engage in domestic terrorism? What happens if mayors, police, comms, chiefs do not enforce the law? What authority does POTUS have to specifically manage the Marines, and why is this important? Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is now calling on citizens of Chicago to rise up and fight against tyranny, directly urging violence if President Trump sends in the National Guard to reduce crime in the city. Where's this commentary on? Let's take a listen to this back.
And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people of this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city. And so, look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action.
Why he can't remain firm and take legal action against the crime in his own city is why he can't remain firm and take legal action against the crime in his city is beyond me, and a disrespectful slap in the face to all law-abiding Chicago. And bear with me here, I just want to get some of this stuff out. Chicago citizens. Right, bomb. All right, awesome. And we'll keep it moving. This will be the last X. I'll go over to some news. During the past weeks, there have been no carjackings. This is how patriots work. This is how God, men of God, works. Through us when we awaken and tap into doing what's right, regardless of the social acceptance or the befuddled cries of Satan's children as we conduct those actions. During the past week, there have been no carjackings in D.C. Prior to that, there were 190 this year, 137 of which, that's what, 75%, at gunpoint. This says it off. And just moving on over to this DC issue, I'm sure you're aware of it as well. I'm going to share this tab instead. Stephen Miller says a massive scandal has been uncovered in DC Police Department with doctoring crime stats as whistleblower emerges. President Trump on Monday signed an executive order in the Oval Office aimed at cracking down crime in DC. Trump signed an executive order ending cashless bail and ordered the Justice Department to criminally charge people who burn the American flag. Amen. President Trump also launched an investigation into the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department for, check this, impeding law enforcement efforts in the city. White House advisor Stephen Miller told the press that there's a massive scandal in D.C. with doctoring the crime stats. The Democrat media complex has reported that crime is down in D.C. as President Trump federalized the city and sent National Guard in to crack down on the roving criminals and thugs. Crime was soaring in D.C. Before Trump federalized it. The D.C. Metro Police, which is run by DEI Police Chief, Affirmative Action Chain of Command, who was manipulating the crime stats. According to U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, there have been more than 1,000 arrests since Trump cracked down on crime in D.C. The nation's capital has entered day 12 with no homicides, thanks to President Trump. Stephen Miller said, when the real crime stats come out, Americans will be stunned. We're in the process of uncovering a massive scandal in D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. When we ultimately share the results, it'll stun you to the extent which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I was hoping for a video clip for this, but this is what they do. Not only do they jeopardize us and our well-being on a very practical level, they also lie about it as they're doing it. What do you think? Is the agenda, the executive orders, and the National Guard going into D.C. the template for what's going to happen? And will this allow Trump and the Patriots to check the deep state as they start to push their next phase of riots, a la BLM to the third power, once the people continue to wake up? Feel free to check me out at ConservativeRap.com. If you like what's being shared here, like, subscribe, X post, share on your socials, and stay tuned for more. Thanks and take care.